Good to see you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. And we will be heading up here to the Crypt Spire. We're going to be running the Queen's Breath blood code. And you can take a little screenshot here if you need to. Not going to really explain a whole lot for this particular run. It'll kind of just be a relaxing time to kind of just chat, see how the community's doing as we make our way up to the top of the Crypt Spire. As this area is very weak to Pierce, we are not going to be going for Pierce. We will be indeed running a slash hammer, which is a contradiction. We're also going to be running our Yang character through here. So the Tyrant's Labrys, that is a slash, but it's categorized under the hammer section. So it's every other hammer is a crush weapon. However, there are 3 slash hammers: the Lost Heavy Axe, the Tyrant's Labrys, and the Heavy Axe, the one you get in the first chest in the game. So these 3 are the slash the slash heavy hammers. This also does have the famous twirl knockdown. Now it is kind of interesting that it's considered a hammer. But at the same time, it does that heavy knockdown that we. Man, they talk up a storm coming up these steps. But it's a great axe for what we're going to be going for, since we are, as you can see here, we are quick mobility, even though we have a heavy hammer. So it's very nice. And we're going to be trying out that active, even though it's not a damaging technique. It is indeed a stagger potential technique. So we'll see how we do here. Now we're going to be also running the Twilight Claw, as it's also from DLC 3, and it provides pretty good iCore recovery. I get 10 on recovery in this way, and because we have Avarice active, but it also does fairly significant drain damage, 8,300 there, so that's pretty good. And there's our active. Whoa, he hit me? Now, because this is considered a hammer, it does have some stagger potential. It's not significant, and it's not as much as the Hellfire Hammer is concerned, but it definitely does have some stagger built into the weapon because it's in the hammer category. Now we're also going to be running some camouflages and some sound suppressors, so that way we can get over here to these guys quickly and easily, get a backstab and get going. Now, because we are running the Queen's Breath, whoop, nice shot, Eva. Because we're running the Queen's Breath, we can get a maximum of 60 iCore, so we will have more than plenty enough iCore on anytime we get a backstab or anything like that. Uh-oh. Don't run off the edge. Let's get a launch. That should kill him. Yeah, okay. Whew, we got close there. So this build is just a way that the Queen's Breath can be used. It's since we're kind of running through the hammer topics here and discovering which ones are useful, which ones are usable, which ones have what kind of scenario usage. And we're also going to be investigating Juggernaut, as it is the special for the unique for the Queen's Breath. So let's get in here and get invisible, because here you always want to go for the gunner over there as soon as possible.
I've always hated heights.
and if you can, go for a backstab on him. And the other guys will just kind of stand around until you're done executing this guy. And let's get a charge on this guy. Now that is a blood attack. Now because this guy is so big, it doesn't, the shockwave, I forget what it's called, it does not stagger this guy very much. And we'll get another backstab. And our backstab potential here is fairly high, as we are in the roughly 1500% or 1500 damage range. Okay, so that was pretty easy to kill him. So, and we also have Juggernaut. Now, the interesting thing about Juggernaut is that it reduces your damage taken by 50%, but it also reduces your stagger, so you can take a considerable amount of hits. But it also reduces your mobility by 2 levels, so it doesn't matter what you are always going to be going down to a slow mobility, so you will have to have 2 mobility enhancers in order to get back to a quick mobility. Now here we can use Legion Punisher. And now because we're running a hammer, we were able to stagger that guy. But Legion Punisher, if they all would have been grouped up, then we would have killed multiple monkeys there in one shot. If you haven't figured it out by now, the monkeys are my nemesis in this game. Anytime they show up, I just... keep making progress. They just make it miserable. Now, we will do the invasion here for this one. I'm not quite sure. We'll see where the 30-minute mark lands us. For the...
there might be something through here.
For the 2 Cerberus troops up at the top waiting for us, who've been transformed into the Lost. So we will wait here for a second for a gift extension, and we will go ahead and pop Juggernaut. And Gravenknocker, it's kind of a very situational kind of a thing, but instead we're going to go for Tormenting Blast, as we have a lot of AoE between Tormenting Blast and Legion Punisher. Okay, so let's go ahead and get everything up here. And we can use a mobility enhancer, as it also allows us, because we were 2 levels down and we're 2 levels back up because of the mobility enhancer and hasten, so we can be at least normal mobility. Because you never want to be slow mobility during this time, especially. So we have fairly significant health or damage potential now. I mean, damage to be taken. See there, we took 2 hits. One from this guy and one from the small guy, and we only lost about 1,000 health. So that's really good. There's our heavy hit. Oh, come on. See, and that'll kill almost everybody around us. That's why Legion Punisher is great, and for sort of getting a good idea on the ranging of where it is, but also when paired with Tormenting Blast, you have really good AoE defenses that you can get up. Because you have the ability to swing your heavy weapon all around you. Now we're getting really lucky here with the backstabs, which is great. We were inside this guy's belly, which is weird. Okay, now are they out in the hallway? They are out in the hallway. So let's get a mobility enhancer. That'll give us normal mobility. Oh, wow. See, now that Juggernaut is over, we are back to quick mobility, or at least normal mobility. Alright, now we're going to have to heal. Oh. I thought I was outside the... Oh, no. He was facing Eva and hit me. Interesting. Well, that was unfortunate. So, that was where I probably should have hit him with a Tormenting Blast and gone in on him. Hi, Eva. But you can see that we have fairly high damage potential. It's not something to write home about. But as far as hammers go and what you can do, it's pretty considerable. So we'll take our time here, since this guy can prove problematic. And maybe if we get him close enough to the edge, he'll go off. Oh, we missed. Yeah, these guys, they are definitely very strong to slash attacks, which we are doing slash, and we definitely want to be doing pierce and ice versus those guys, and we have slash blood, so we are exactly not set up for those guys. But for these kinds of folks, we have really good damage potential, especially with our blood veil coupling with that. So this section of the game is extremely easy if you run something like a camouflage Heimdall. But being quick with a hammer is a great coupling. Wish we could have picked up all those items from before, but oh well. So that is the benefit of this build. I know it looks kind of like, why would you do this? Who would use this? But the fact of the matter is that being able to be quick like that, to dodge out of the way with a very heavy weapon that has knockdown potential, that has very quick actives, that has pretty good damage potential in groups, in AoE and everything else. So, and it has a pretty good, see there's a stagger, even though he's focused, and it has pretty good Ichor recovery as well. So, again, these are certain things to think about, because it's not always just a measure of how much damage you do determines how good a build is. There's so many factors to consider, and we'll go ahead and get guard break up here. We'll go for this, and an invisibility, and a sound suppressor. Now we can't use Night Stalker or Fog Veil, I think is what it's called, because we don't have the correct dexterity or the fortitude for it. But since we have those consumables, we might as well go ahead and use them. Let's see if we can hit this guy. We did indeed hit him. Now let's get a backstab on him. So if it is extremely helpful if you know the enemies. Obviously that's helpful in any room, but especially in the tower here. There's a good close-up of Eva's finger, her trigger finger, to let you know that she's serious. But especially in this area, if you know the enemy's attack patterns and what they are in each room, the Crypt Spire here is extremely difficult just to do in general. But once you know it and you can run through it comfortably, it becomes a pretty okay run, but it can be still very stressful. Alright. Let's get this guy.
I'm on my way.
Now we can switch up our Twilight Claw to be the Fortified or the Intensified, and we could go for more damage. but I'm going for this right now to maintain I-Core up because we have fairly expensive I-Core costing gifts. So we're going to leave the monkeys there to figure out what happened. Now, even though the invisibility ran out, they still couldn't hear us. So that is why we always couple a camouflage with a sound suppressor.
You are awfully
Okay.
attentive. You've worked hard for that.
Yep.
So let's keep it safe.
I guess you wait.
There we go. We'll go for guard break here in a second and cleansing light. Again, another problem that we had there was because we are running Juggernaut now, we are slow. So we gotta maintain our confidence here as we go through this and don't get tilted. So let's go for cleansing light and guard break. Let's get a hit on this guy, get a backstab, and then we'll go for a Legion Punisher into the crowd here if we don't get ganged up on. Good. Hang on there, Eva. Oh, good. She's focused. Maybe she'll get a launch on that guy. Oh, she's going to heal up. Oh, nice. Nice one, Eva. Now you can stay in this here, or you can go outside the corridor. Ooh, we're focused now. Get both of them up. Good. See, now we should not have been able to get that that damage or that launch attack off, but because we were focused with Juggernaut and we have extremely good resistance to missed that guy. We have extremely good resistance to being staggered. Because it has, I believe, a 33% stagger resistance. We were able to go ahead and get that up. Let's get Hasten up, get a mobility enhancer. Good, we got rid of that guy. Now we got the chunky guy. And see, we're quick. Mobility again. Okay, let's get the backstab. Too bad we didn't have cleansing light up when he gave us that smack to the skull. There we go. And that should be the end. Let's use one of these, and we'll use a regen inducer just in case there's one here on the floor. But the Cerberus troop over here on the floor, he also gives us a regen inducer, so that's why we can go ahead and comfortably use one. There we go. So that's a little bit about that invasion, and having those AoE actives, because they are really quick cooldowns, 6 seconds, and Legion Punisher is 10 seconds. So you can use a Legion Punisher and then go right into a Tormenting Blast, and by the time Tormenting Blast comes back, both actives will be ready to go again. Go for Guard Break, just in case they're breaking. Guard Break isn't extremely useful because enemies typically don't guard, except those guys wandering around with the shields. But it is an interesting active to carry along with us. And since we're trying to use every, through the road to 100 stars, we're trying to use every code and every gift, I thought this would be a good place to put it, since you're running a hammer build and going for maximum knockdown, maximum guard breaks, so on and so forth. Let's see whose charge attack gets off first, buddy. Mine. Thank you, Eva, for that stagger that you gave him. Now this is where you pick up the silver garb here in this chest. It is very good when you get to this stage in the game. Where is it? Here we go. The sanguine garb, the silver garb, and the dust garb. All three of these are exceptional blood veils once you get them. So let's go ahead and look at the Twilight Claw. It actually looks pretty good with Yang here, as it's only on the upper. So we'll go ahead and leave that on so we can see it in all its glory. And since it's yellow, it matches our outfit. Now here again, you are going to have to go invisible to avoid all the shenanigans in here.
What do you want to do?
And we can get guard break. Good. Now the only one you need to worry about in here is this soldier. The others you can ignore completely. So we're going to go ahead and get this guy and get a charge on him, hopefully. Nice. And if the other guys figure out what's going on, they're going to come after us, which is not good. So again, having quick mobility with a hammer, that is pretty rare, as hammers are usually 100 pounds or something crazy, but the Tyrant's Labrys is only 58 pounds, so it's on the extreme end of light hammers, which is why we can get away with quick dodging with a hammer. So if you're going to be going for some of the lighter hammers, or at least, I mean, this is an axe, but if you're going for a lighter hammer build, then you definitely want to be trying to get to quick mobility as much as you can. And since the Twilight Claw is only 30 pounds, or 32 pounds, excuse me, I believe, it couples really well. Let's see here, how much is it? 32 pounds, yeah. So it couples really well with the lighter hammers as well. The other two lighter hammers are the Hellfire Hammer and the Snowdrift Sharur, which we will get a backstab. Ooh, I gotta get a backstab. I don't want to wake up the other guys just yet. Now see, because our blood veil is a slash veil, if we run back here behind this guy, because our veil is a slash veil, we don't do exceptional damage to these guys. We do okay damage, but nothing amazing. Okay, good. So it would do much more damage. I mean, you saw versus the little guys, it was doing 8,300. Here it only does about 5,000, it looks like. So it's not doing incredible damage. Let's see here. 5678, so it's like a 60% reduction in damage. So that's not very good.
We're almost there. Keep it steady.
Yep. Okay, so now as we go along here, if we are feeling good, we can go ahead and get rid of like Sharpened Fangs and go for some health recovery if we absolutely need it. Now coming up here onto the bridge, we're going to be having some guys shooting at us, and so we can go for another set here. And you'll notice the places where I use these are very strategic to get all the way through, because you want to get a backstab on this guy, kill him, and then run into the room and at least get one gunner free of shots. So there's that guy. Run into the room around the corner. Take this guy out. And we're only going to have a little bit of time. This guy will see us, but he won't be able to get any shots off, so there we go. I use them on purpose in very strategic places where it's important to not activate the enemy trigger points before necessary or anything like that. So this guy is just backstab and bully him. So it's been fun playing hammers. We will probably pick a one-handed swords and two-handed swords later on, but the next set of weapons we'll probably go through will be polearms, as those are pretty situational as well. Most of the weapons are pretty situational from what I found in the game. There's not like oh, if you pick this weapon and pick this blood code, you can just do that across the board anytime you want, all the time. I will consider this 100-star run kind of my review of Code Vein. And if you can't tell, I love the game. I truly am passionate about it. I think there's still more to be done, and which is why I kind of want to go through it in long form like this, so that way I can hit all the points I want to hit, and nothing kind of gets forgotten. See, and because we have a hammer ability, we have pretty good stagger. It's nothing to write home about, but because it is it's considered a hammer, it's considered a heavy weapon. So now here we have to get creative with the monkeys dropping down. Okay. Now the Tyrant's Labrys has as a regular attack, it has a two swing heavy. There's a second monkey up there, but sometimes he spawns, sometimes he doesn't. So we got lucky this time and only got the one. So if you're looking for a 2 swipe, but it leaves you open to some kind of counterattack in between the swipes, so it's typically not ideal of an attack. But the other attack patterns that it has are fairly okay. Now let's see if we get lucky here and get this guy to drop a lost Zweihander. And nope. So that guy's kind of a lottery ticket right there. If you get so lucky to get one, that's awesome, because it's one of the very few places in the game where you can get it from. Yeah, I like the look of the Twilight Claw. I like it that it's yellow. Matches my character pretty well. Sorry, Eva. We'll get a good look at it here. Yeah, I need like a belly button ring or something to go with it, I think. Kind of covers up my gloves and everything else that I've put into the character, but that's okay. Small price to pay for excellence.
How's our mission going?
Oh, pretty good. So we're definitely going to rest here. Get our presents back and everything. Now we're going to be switching up to Prometheus again. And Prometheus allows us to go for the Graceful Prominence, which is kind of a not used Blood Veil from DLC 1, because it's a high dex scaling veil, and as you see, it has no scaling in dark or light, so there's no reason to really use it, except when you're fighting these two, the Blade Bearer and Cannoneer. It has exceptionally high ice and fire simultaneous defenses, and because of that, we're going to be going for the Ice Graceful Prominence, coupling with Elemental Wall, Ice Armor, Flame Protection, and we're going to be going for Antifreeze Tonic and a Fireproof Tonic, and we don't need these anymore, so let's see. We will be normal mobility, so we won't need a mobility enhancer, so we will go for both Ice and Fire against their respective counterparts, and we're going for Dragon Lunge. And if we get focused, because we will be having pretty high flame and ice resistance, we will be getting focused more often, so this will help us get some health back on every time we get damaged. So we won't need this, so we will go for stamina regen, and sure, why not go for more stamina. So also, Elemental Wall raises your elemental defense by 23. Ice Armor and Flame Protection respectively do their elements by 45, and the tonics down here do 20, so that's 23, 45, 68, and plus 20 is 88. So each ice and fire will get plus 88 here. So we'll be at almost 200 ice and like 146 fire. So that's pretty balanced and pretty high resistances here going into this fight. So we'll see how this goes. Now, again, this is all just off the top of my head here. I set up Prometheus because it sounded good, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, it looks like we're going to need some iCore here. Go for that. And we'll go for Flame first off, and then as we get more health, or more iCore, we will go for more things. So I always go for the Blade Bearer first. You choose which one you'd like to pick, which one you'd like to defeat first. But these two, once you negate all the elemental resistances, they turn into a fairly simple fight. Now, if you go into it with no resistances to flame or ice, they can be extremely difficult. Oh. Okay, come here. Eva. See there, we don't take almost any damage from the flames. And we got... Okay, let's get Elemental Wall. And Ice. Oh. What hit me? Don't. Stop. Stop hitting Eva. Good grief. Wow, she's just a handful here. Oof. Okay, let's get our tonics back up. Okay. Stop hitting Eva. Okay. Good. Let's get this and flame protection. Get away from the... Okay, let's get our... let's get Elemental Wall. Get away from the blade, or the, what's his name? The Cannoneer. See, now we don't take almost any damage at all from her. And we take very little damage from the Cannoneer. There's 300 health back. Oh my goodness. She's so quick. Now I don't mind getting hit by her, as she, good, she's almost dead, as she does no damage to us, and that way we can also do, okay, we can get focus back from her. And this guy... Now we will probably want to switch to the fire veil as we were doing the ice. Now we'll switch to fire, so we have great fire resistance. Let's use these consumables. And as you see, we're now completely invincible to fire. We're not invincible to his hits, though. But that's okay. 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 She's going in. That is excellent. Let's get another charge attack so we get our... Oops. Nope, we got some health back. That's good. Because we got focused. How did that miss? Okay, let's get Elemental Wall back up. So see, once you play to the Elemental game, and I never thought that this would be a great strategy, as it gives you the ability to use Prometheus to do an elemental game, which is kind of interesting. Okay, let's get Elemental Wall back up. And there we go. First try, first run, no problems. Didn't even use a health regen. So if you're looking for a way, perfect, 36 minutes. So if you're looking for a way that you can go through these two, even if I was solo and I didn't have Eva because she didn't revive me and we never went down, this is a great way to solo these two. It's not very impressive. It's not very amazing because we were still getting damaged and knocked around and all that, but we handled both of them fairly well. So yeah, again, this is the Prometheus build, and again, I'll put both of these hammer builds in the description. So we beat both of these two with hammers, and the next one will be Mito, and that'll be in the next episode. So thanks for coming along. Hope you're learning something about hammers and how to effectively use them. And thank you everyone for joining me on this trip, as it's so much fun to see how we can continue to make this game awesome. So talk to you all next time, and enjoy the show.